your dad's influence, some of the matches that he invented, the Texas Death Match was your dad's invention.
Yeah.
And explain to the people who don't maybe understand, because you've seen Texas Death Match. New York did them. Texas Death Match is a no DQ match. It's one fall or whatever. The rules of a Texas Death Match, and also explain how they were promoted. Your dad got them over to the point where the people realized it might go 2 hours. That was the only match that was advertised on the card.
He did, he and Mike DiBiase did 4 hours and 10 minutes. And he sat down by me and he says, why don't you tell me all of that wrestling is fake, isn't it? It's all a bunch of bullshit, you know? And my brother heard that. I said, I don't think it is. I said, I think it's real. And he said, well, you know, it's not real. It's all phony. It's all a bunch of crap and garbage. Well, my brother took off, told my father, and he came around the corner. And that was one of the first times I've ever seen anybody just beat the living shit out of somebody, and it was my father just beat his ass up right there in the restaurant. It was my livelihood, and I have to protect my livelihood. You know?
Well, during the 50s, your dad, this was
before. And here I
am
sitting down here and talking to you and talking to the people out there, and it's really...
that horse has left the barn, though, Terry, a long time ago. We can't do anything about it as much as we'd like to.
I'd love to go out and rope him and bring him back.
Well, your dad worked at the Boys Ranch, which is kind of where Eddie Graham got the idea for the Florida Boys Ranches, right?
Well, that's exactly where he got the idea for the Boys Ranch, because he was, he loved my father so much that he just idolized him and what he had done, and he followed everything that he did, and he took it down to Florida and tried to make a replica of it. Just, this was Eddie, you know, he'd get to drinking and he'd get a little goofy, you know, he had one eye that was kind of looking that way or something, you know, like that, you know, and he'd get these crazy ideas when he got to drinking, you know, and he just knew that he could go ahead and get the best of my dad, you know, this one time, you know, and so he went ahead and he kind of followed my father along there, and all of a sudden he went ahead and he just caught him with he blindsided him. Big one, you know. And
just bam, right?
Bam, as hard as he could. And my father went ahead and he kind of went down to his knee, and then he got back up. I remember watching it, and then he beat the shit out of Eddie.
And they were friends, right?
Yeah, they were friends. Now, wait a minute. Now, let me tell you something about Dusty now. You know where Dusty came from?
Texas.
You know where all of those guys began?
Amarillo.
Thursday nights. They all went there from West Texas as football players. And they'd watch those matches every Thursday night. So,
did you really leave Dick Murdoch in the trunk of the car all the way from Abilene to Odessa one time when he asked you for a ride?
I sure did. No, I told him to get back here because it was kayfabe.
Yeah, he was heel, you were babyface, right? So you couldn't be seen together.
Couldn't be seen together. So we left the arena like that. You know, I said, Dick, get in the trunk. Because we're out at the back of the arena because people will see us going out of here. And I locked him in the trunk of the car, and I drove him 160 miles from Abilene to Odessa, Texas. And he was in the trunk banging on it all the way. So Billy was in the bedroom, and he says, psst, psst, hey, Terry, look at this. And I looked over there, and he was whacking off the dog. But who do you think Billy was?
Nobody? Nobody?
Nobody knows who Billy was?
Last name?
Billy Bob Thornton.
The actor?
That was him. I've got such a stupid life.
The guy backs you up in the ropes, he's peppering you, and all of a sudden you grab him by the back of the head and you throw your leg in between his legs and you hop up on the top rope and you flip backwards and monkey flips the guy right over the top rope. Slicker than come on a gold tooth. And I always loved that move, but then all of a sudden...
I don't know about how slick that is.
Trust me, it's slick, boy. But then I saw an old piece of footage, stop laughing.
You don't want to say that. I loved working with everybody, you know. I loved, you know, who I loved working with the most. You know who I loved? The ones that I made the most money with.
The origin of the Briscoe Funk family heat stems from the fact that Dory had been scheduled to drop the NWA title at one point to Jack Briscoe, but he had a pickup truck accident on the ranch in Amarillo and
legitimate accident. But how, Corny? How did we get control of the entire National Wrestling Alliance?
Well, that was due to your dad having trained or influenced almost everybody in it, and they would call him and ask him advice when they got stuck, right? When they were up Shit Creek, we need to call Dory.
Brother was in the front seat and I was in the back with my dad. And he said, how much further we got to go, Terry? So he was about a mile and a half from the hospital in Amarillo, and I said, about a mile and a half, Dad. He says, I can't make it. He says, I'm going, just like that. And he is gone.
He was 53 at the time, was he not?
54.
54.
That's a young man.
The dozens of men trained, mentored, and broken in by Dory Funk Sr. and the Amarillo territory would become some of the biggest box office attractions, prolific bookers, and preeminent promoters in the sport. Outside the ring, generations of Texans would come to view Funk as a father figure due to his support of and contributions to charitable causes such as the Boys Ranch. The entire world of pro wrestling today would be radically different if not for the presence of Dory Funk Sr. But it all started in Amarillo, a geographically isolated, hardscrabble Texas town that would become famous in every corner of the globe in large parts due to his efforts. The story of Amarillo wrestling begins with the story of Dory Funk Sr., and therein begins our tale.